Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Pitch International with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 10th of July, 2023. So, yeah, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a view of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll disappear from that little left corner in there, and I will allow you to read the rest, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us, guys. So if you feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and yeah, we'll be happy to answer those. Now then, Nikkei 225, yeah. There we go. As always, let's start off with this one. In general, this week, it will be exciting, relatively, I would say, in terms of economic data releases. So we do have some stuff coming out, but I'll get to that in a bit as well. But going into Nikkei here, look, so far everything has been working in line with the idea that I've mentioned here. I said to you that as long as we stay below this 32,923, then I'm going to aim lower. I'm going to aim for this 32,310 territory marked by the inside. Well, now it's an inside swing low of the 26th of June. We did travel lower. We tested the 50-day EMA, and we found a little bit of support here. Now, what I'm leaning to further is that, look, if we do fall and stay, and so far we're doing that, if we do fall and stay below the 32,310 territory, my next target is the 50-day EMA and the upside line. This one right here, drawn from the low of the 15th of March. So far, I am kind of keeping an eye on that one. But again, for that, I need to see the index continuing to trade below this hurdle here, this low of the 26th of June. And in general, this move lower will be still classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying, guys. So, now then, in terms of, there we go. In terms of, let's say, the upside. So I'm kind of leaning towards something like this, where let's say if this is true and we do drop lower here, and if this upside line does provide good support, we might see a nice rebound here and a push back up. However, if it starts breaking it, well, guys, then yes, my next target is the 100-day EMA. I don't have a line specific level here, but initially I'm going to aim for that 100-day EMA, and then I'll go from there, and I'll see if if there's maybe this hurdle here could play out. I don't know. We'll see. Let me just grab a magnet here. There we go. Maybe this hurdle could be an interesting one, but for now it's too early to talk about that. So let's not overcomplicate our lives. In general, we don't have much data coming out from Japan this week. Apart from the industrial numbers, industrial production, I think that's coming out on Friday. So yeah, check out the economic calendar. But in general, I think that this will remain more affected by the numbers, economic data that's going to be coming out from around the world, probably. So mainly the U.S. But let's wait and see. ASX 200. Now this one continues to slide perfectly. We fell below the 7,000 territory and we stayed below it. So as long as we remain below that, then yes, I'm leaning towards my target here, which is roughly around that 6,850 territory. So this is going to be what I'm going to be aiming for, as long as we stay below this 7,000 mark. If we climb back above it, maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible, something like this. And maybe we could, and then there we go. By the way, this is where it's time for me to adjust the downside line. So maybe this is what I'm going to be aiming for if we do push back above the 7,000 territory. So yeah, at this point, like I said, it's a bit of a not a gamble, but I would say it's not the picture perfect. I mean, if you missed this travel here to the downside, I mean, I talked about the 7,121 territory last week, and I said to you that and as we drop below, it may open the door to some lower levels, and so far it has been the case. Now, like I said, long story short, for now, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on this one on the downside. And in terms of economic data from Australia, also maybe not the most exciting. We will get the NAB Business Confidence, National Bank of Australia, I think National Australian Bank, there we go. Yeah, National Australian Bank. Yeah, so we'll get some numbers from there. In terms of other ones, no, there's not much. Maybe the RBA Governor Lowe speaks in the morning on Wednesday. Maybe that could give a bit of a move here for the ASX 200. But apart from that, nothing major from Australia, but from their neighbor. And from their neighbor, New Zealand. So that one's going to be hitting the spotlight. I'll pick up on that one in a bit when I'm going to be covering NZDUSD. But yeah, interest rate decision from the RBNZ, that's something to keep an eye on, and maybe it'll have its nice effect, or maybe not nice effect on the ASX 200. But yep, the technical picture is as it is, as I just mentioned it. S&P 500. So of course, last week was not a very good one for the U.S. stock market, and we saw a decline. And look, so far, it worked out according to the plan, basically. So it worked out nicely. It pushed lower. I said to you that, look, maybe we'll get a little retracement here, and we did get a retracement. We pushed back above the subside line, but it was kind of a false breakout. So still good. And we declined, and we pushed back down, and yes, we came closer to my target, which is around that 4,400 zone. So yeah. Now my question is if we can go further south. To be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards that, and I would like to see that push, and I like to see that move here. But I think that at the moment we have to go slowly. So at the moment, like I said, I'm aiming for this 4,400 zone. If that gets cleared, my next target is the 4,368 territory right here, marked by the low of the 26th of June. And as I said, we do get economic data this week from the US. So today it's kind of relatively quiet. I mean, we have a few speakers, as I understood. Yeah, member Daly speaks today. The FOMC member Mester and Daly, that's what it says, and Bostic. That's okay. Yeah, we have a bunch of speakers today, so from the FOMC, so we'll see if that can move the market somehow. Check out the economic calendar when it's coming out in your region. But yeah, something to keep in mind. But in general, like I said, the main driver could be, first of all, it could be Wednesday's data. Wednesdays we have the CPI numbers coming out from the US. The core, the headline, month-on-month and year-on-year numbers. So at the moment, let me double check. So the core and both core, yes, are expected to go down a little. And the CPI, the month-on-month and year, the headline month-on-month and year-on-year. Okay, the year-on-year figure is expected to continue to decline from quite nice, from 4 to 3.1, and but the month-on-month figure is expected to rise from plus 0.1 to plus 0.3. Now, what's interesting, and I've mentioned this last week, guys, that look, the fact that the Fed is kind of, going for these rate hikes, and they're trying to do their best in order to maintain inflation, but I think that they have already done that, and I think that the inflation is already going down, and actually it's not really going gradually, it's quite on a steep decline. And the problem here is that everybody's now starting to compare the policies to, like, let's say what Fed does to what BOC, RBA, what all these players are doing, and the ECB, of course, because, for example, with the ECB, you have at the moment in the US, you have a higher interest rate but lower inflation, right? In the in the Eurozone, you have lower interest rate but higher inflation. So, okay, like I said, the question is, if we are not coming closer to, let's say, something like another problem, deflation now. So that's my issue at the moment. Of course, I hope that's not the case. I'm just speculating, but the fact that it's coming very quickly, and the fact that, let's say, how we compare to how the FOMCs compare to the ECB, the RBA, we know that they kind of paused. Last week they paused the rate hikes, and they have inflation around 7%. So, I mean, far from their target. So, but they're being very cautious, I think. So, again, not saying anything. We'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. But yeah. At this point, I think that this might not be the friend of the stock market. And another thing to watch out for going like this week, next week, we're getting into the earnings season, Q2 earnings season in the US. And Friday, I think Thursday will kick off with PepsiCo. Yeah, that's the major one that's going to come out with its earnings. Then Friday we'll have the financials plus United Health. So JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citigroup, these guys, they're going to be reporting. So keep your eyes on the Dow and the S&P. But yeah, looking at the S&P here, I'm still leaning towards the downside, towards my 4,368 territory. If we do fall below the 4,400 zone. That's going to be my game plan on this one. Before I go further, let me put this into the chat room. Let me kick it off. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes. So there we go. Let's have a beautiful start of the chat. Anyway, guys. By the way, I can see the rockets are coming through. Thank you. Whoever is putting rockets, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. And it makes my Monday more exciting, to be honest. And thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate that. Right. That's the technical picture on the S&P. This upside line needs to go. I need to clear up my chart here a little bit. And for the upside, look, I'm going to take a very conservative approach, and I'll wait for a push above the 4,000, maybe 4,500, maybe, just to be like a little bit more on the safe side. The German index is still coming in, but yeah, first is the Dow. The Dow, okay. So we've reached my target, so that's good. So my target was that I said that if we do fall below the 34,232, and we're going to aim for that 33,859 zone. So that's great. What's next? Basically, my next target is the 100-day EMA right here. So that means that yeah, that's not far. Look, I get it. It's maybe not very exciting, not very attractive, but okay. Look, anything, we will take anything. I will take anything, to be honest. So at the moment, I'm aiming for that, as long as we stay below this 33,859. Now, my little problem here is that we actually maybe are looking at not exactly like more of a specific level, but more of a zone here. So if, let's put it this way, I'm going to aim for that 100-day EMA, and then that's it. I'm going to wait for the next move. I'm going to wait to see if this is going to rebound back up or not, or maybe it's going to, just clear it and just fall off the cliff here, yes, then I'm gonna get a little bit more excited with the downside here, and I'm going to aim for this upside support line drawn from the low of the 15th of March, guys. So in a way, we can say that at the moment we are seeing a larger correction before maybe another possible leg of buying. Another thing that I'm worried about here is maybe maybe we have a descending triangle pattern here. And if that's the case, then we might see the index bouncing around here a little bit, maybe, going back up, and but still remaining below this downside line, or I should say the upper side of the potential idea of a descending triangle pattern. But look, I have been watching a lot of descending triangle patterns lately, and not a lot of them are working out according to the TA rules. It seems like we're shifting now that a descending triangle will no longer be a bearish indication, but hey, time will tell. But at this point, look, I'm still going to stick to that, and I'm keeping an eye on this highlighted territory here. If we're gonna see some good support here, maybe a nice little rebound here back up could be possible. Something like that maybe could be possible, or maybe actually even it's not going to go there. It might just stick around here and then just rebound back up. So I'll keep this on the chart for now. I want to see how this is going to play out. If you're not comfortable with this idea here, guys, honestly, I don't blame you, because, well, you kind of already missed the stronger move here, because I said to you before that, look, I'll aim for lower levels from around here, and this is what beautifully happened here. So let's see how it's going to play out further. I want to just probably watch this one, just observe the price action, and then do something. I'll just get more, let's say, bearish in the short run if we do fall below the 100-day EMA. Nasdaq 100. So also drifting nicely to the downside. I'm talking about the futures, by the way, guys. Here, if your pricing is not like the same as mine, because I'm looking at the futures. So it's almost the same thing. So just the pricing is a little bit different, but the patterns actually are the same. So yeah, almost. But yeah, looking at the picture here, a few adjustments have to be made. I'll keep an eye on this upside line for sure. I will mark this high here, the current highest point of July, near the 15,431. But I think that I will take a very conservative approach, and I'll wait for a pop above the 15,500 level in order to go higher. In terms of the downside, I would like to see a break of this upside line, and then yes, a move here towards the 50-day EMA could be possible. That's my initial goal. But then if that gets clear, the 100-day EMA is on the radar. The German index, DAX. Okay, so I talked about this one last week, and I kind of ran an idea by you last week about this DAX thing here. So first of all, my beloved rising wedges, it seems like we have one. And then on Friday I said to you that, look, we could see here something like a false breakout or something like that. And yes, it was like a nice tease here. It broke here, and it pushed back up a little bit. So look, I said to you as well on Friday that this candle here kind of looks like a pole. And what does that mean? That means maybe it's a bearish flag. However, and talk about the bearish flag. For example, it could right now like grind a little bit higher here alongside the lower side of this rising wedge, and then once it's ready, it could give us that breakout, a move to the downside and a drop maybe towards that 200-day EMA. So in a way, that's my ideal scenario. Something like this. So in a way, what you can do here so far, for example, is to keep an eye on this 15,635 territory, and if this area provides good support initially, okay, we might see maybe a rebound back up. But if it fails, this is where, like I said, this whole picture will come in nicely with the idea of a bearish flag, of this rising wedge pattern. So that's why at this point I would say cautiously bearish. I'm cautiously bearish, but I still need a lot of confirmation on this one. So that's why I'm just gonna be observing this one. And look, for me to consider some upside scenarios here. In general, I would say this is very, like I said, this is very, it might be a little bit it might be confusing, because in general, while you remain inside of a rising wedge pattern until the boundaries are, as long as the boundaries remain intact, you could still see a move back to the upside. So my upside scenario here, it comes in, the short-term upside scenario comes in from that 15,834 territory. So yep, if we push back above it, then I'll consider a move a little bit higher. But as you can see here, I have this downside line, which could still be an important factor here. And it could still provide resistance. But if that gets cleared, guess what? More buyers could join in. Now jumping into the US dollar. So last week, yeah, it wasn't a very good moment here for the US dollar. And look, this worked out. I talked about this hurdle, this 102.41. I said to you that if we do fall below it, my next target is the 101.95. Beautiful hold up here, as you can see. And then I said to you that if that gets cleared, my next target is the 101.49, which is marked by the lowest point of June. So far, everything is according to the plan. And look, what I'm seeing here right now is, okay, my scenario is working out halfway. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm just kind of being very careful here, because this as well looks like a possible bearish flag, or in the beginning of a possible bearish flag. If that's the case, then yes, lower levels here could be met again, and yes, maybe we could end up testing my 101.49 territory. But as always, I will stick to the same game plan, and so I'll say the same thing. A breakout is needed. Until I get a breakout, this might not even be a bearish flag. Maybe this will be just something else. So, you know, let's not rush into anything like that. For the upside, well, although I would like to see a pushback above the 102.41 territory, but I think I will take a bit of a more of a cautious approach here, and I'll wait for a pushback above the 50-day EMA right here, and then yes, we could consider a maybe a larger correction here to the upside. So yeah, let's see how that's going to play out. Gold, our beloved gold. What do we have here? On Friday, we had a bit of a, you know, a nice push, I would say, to the upside, looking good. We tested my target, this 1933 territory. We broke this downside line, and we're kind of now testing it from the other side. We're sliding alongside of it. And I think that, look, I'm going to get rid of it. I think that it did its job. It at some point, it did provide good, you know, something good. But now I think it's time to remove it, and just look, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to continue sticking to maybe the upside in the short run. Something to here maybe, because look, again, also maybe we're forming something like a bullish flag here, with this one being the pole, and now we're seeing a little correction here, so maybe a nice bullish flag here could be possible. So I'm going to stick to that idea, and I'm going to aim for my downside line drawn from the high of the 2nd of June. Around here, we could also test the 50 and the 100-day EMAs, and then we'll take it from there. If that gets cleared, great. More buyers could join in, and there we go. We could start aiming for this territory, and not exactly this level, but this whole territory right here between the 1983-85 levels. So yeah, that's going to be my game plan for further upside. For the downside, well, I'm not really doing anything else apart from keeping an eye on that 200-day EMA. If we do get a nice drop and stay below it, I'll go further south. That's it, period. Silver. Silver is also stuck. Look, we had a bit of a roller coaster ride here last week. As you can see, not everybody's happy, of course. I get it, but hey, you know, that's the game we're playing here with the markets. But look, how we can position ourselves. I'm keeping an eye on this downside line. In general, I'm keeping an eye on this downside line and this upside line as well. So, if you're looking for some higher levels, then a break of this downside line and a push above all the remaining EMAs here would be needed. Then I'll get more comfortable with higher levels. Simple as that. If we are looking for some lower levels, a break of this upside line is required as well. And then we'll go from there. My next target then will be the 22.11, but if that gets clear, the forthcoming lower low will be confirmed, potentially attracting more sellers into the game. Oil, my beloved oil, there we go. Beautiful push. And look, I talked about this and I said to you, as long as we stay above these, all of these downside lines and we remain above the 50-day EMA, my next target is the 72.72 territory, which we've managed to clear up very easily. And then we tested the 100-day EMA, we cleared that one, and now we remain above the 100-day EMA. So what does that mean? That means that I am leaning towards the upside as long as we stay above the 100-day EMA, and then I'll target the 200-day EMA, and that's it. For now, yep, that's the game plan. Very simple. Let's see if this is going to work out. Let's recycle some of these trend lines. Always recycle, guys. So, not this one. Oh, there we go. Come on. There we go. So, this upside line can now be watched carefully. And, yep, as long as we stay above this upside line, this is not downside, this upside line, as long as we stay above this upside line, then yes, I will continue targeting the upside. If we start falling below it, I will consider maybe a bit of a retracement. So that's simple. Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about this one. It's the same rule, the same analysis, the same, idea here on this one. So until I get a clearance of, one of these sides, I'm not really doing much with this instrument. So, yep, I need to see a push above the 31,500 territory in order to go higher, and I need to see a drop below the 29,500 zone if I want to go lower. That's as simple as I can explain it. Litecoin. So this one's a little bit more interesting. Now look at this beauty. This is what I talked about to you guys, and this is what I mentioned. I said to you, keep your eyes on this idea where, I'm going to keep an eye on the crossroads here. Last week I mentioned that if we do push straight away above this downside line right here, taken from the high of the 18th of February of this year, then yes, more buyers could join in. But if we do kind of go a little bit lower, then there is still a chance for the bulls to step in somewhere near this upside line or this downside line here. And if that gets a good hold up here, then yes, a nice rebound here could be possible. However, if we start breaking these two trend lines, then I will consider a move lower, a move towards one of these EMAs, of course, maybe even all of them, the 50, the 100, and the 200-day EMA. If those get cleared, then yes, further declines are possible. We could go even further south. But at this point, it's in very important territory here. If we can get a hold up, maybe a rebound, a beautiful rebound could be possible. AUDUSD. So, AUDUSD is quite an interesting one here as well. And yes, we're still within my limits. And I talked about this and I said to you that if we do pop back above the 0.6640 territory, I'm aiming for the upper side of this range. Tick. Beautiful. Beautiful move. What's next? In a way, I can say that if you want to go higher, and then a break of this territory here is required. And this territory is roughly, let me just mark this here as well. It's roughly between these two levels, the 0.6694 and the 0.6705. And if that gets cleared, then yes, more buyers could join in. For the downside, I need to see a drop below the 0.6595 territory, and then yes, potentially more sellers could join in. So that's the game plan. Simple as that, guys. And look, if you're looking for something shorter term, yes, this territory, you can still keep an eye on it. If you fall below it, then I will aim for the lower side of this range. So yeah, you can play the game this way if you wish. But just be careful, because again, if it might drift lower, might find support somewhere around here, rebound from here, and then push back up. So just kind of keep that in mind. AUDJPY as well. So beautiful, beautiful, looking good. We're falling below my hurdle here, this 95.15. And as long as we stay below it, my next target is the 50-day EMA here, shown as the red line, which is approximately around that 94.22 territory, something like that at this point. It might change, but roughly that's the target. If that gets cleared, my next target is the 100-day EMA, together with this upside line drawn from the low of the 24th of March. AUDNZD. So another beautiful move here as well. Look at this. This one I really love. And I mean, okay, the fact that it's still getting a hold up below this downside line, that's amazing. That's great. Everything's working out nicely. If we are looking, I just removed the highlighted zone because I think that a few adjustments here have to be made. For now, we're sticking to the downside as long as it stays below the downside line here. Certainly a few levels to keep an eye on. The lowest point, the current lowest point of July near the 1.0729. That's an important area, I think, to watch. If that gets clear, then yep, I'm aiming for that 1.0707 territory, and then I'll take it from there. For the upside, I need to see, of course, a break of this downside line and maybe also a push above the 1.0790, or actually, you know what, 1.08 territory. That's what I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'll stick to it in order to go, or in order to get a little bit more excited with the upside. NZDUSD. I haven't picked up on this one for quite a while, and look, of course, NZD is, let me just get rid of everything, actually, remove all the drawings and start fresh. We can see that the pair has been, lately has been oscillating around the 50 and the 50, the 100 and the 200-day EMAs. That is not very attractive, I would say. In a way, we're waiting for something to happen here a little bit, a little bit better, maybe, because this is just, yeah, it's a pain in the bottom, actually. Okay, look, if you're a range trader and you like to, maybe trade, these small moves in up and down, then yes, it could be an opportunity. Of course, I'm not saying anything, but of course, keep your eyes on Wednesday's data, Wednesday's RBNZ interest rate decision, where the country is actually expected not to hike the rates, and it's expected to keep it at 5.5. So it seems like it's kind of following Australia's RBA's footpath. So let me just double check something here. What's their inflation rate? Okay, 6.7. There we go. So they're also one of those central banks where their interest rate is still lower than the inflation number, the national inflation number, which we cannot say about the Fed, because again, inflation there seems to be going down very quickly, and interest rates are not really stopping. So, but I think that what they need more is more unemployment, to be honest. Yeah, that's it seems like that. Although they're saying they they need full inflation, full employment and stuff like that, but when you're doing stuff like this, it doesn't really look like you're going for full employment. But anyway, what do I know? NZDUSD. So yep, looking at the picture here, the way I'm gonna play this one out is, of course, I would like to try and see if there is something like a downside line that I can draw. So maybe this could be the case. It could be an interesting one, but I think that what I would prefer here is a push above this 0.6220 territory in order to consider a larger correction here to the upside, because we have this downside line. So in a way, if we do pop above this hurdle, my next hurdle is here, the high of the 16th of June, or is it? Yeah, it's the highest point of June as well. Good one. The 0.6248 zone as well. And then, yes, if that gets clear, then downside line is the one that I'm watching. For the downside, I think the easier option is to stick to something around this. So this hurdle here, approximately around here, not exactly the level but just the area around it. So if we do fall below the 0.6132 territory, then yes, I will consider a larger move to the downside, and then we could start aiming for these hurdles. But I'll get to that point if we do fall below this territory. For now, I'm kind of watching these two barriers. I want to see these two hurdles. I want to see which one's going to fail first. USDJPY, beautiful. I'm very happy with this one, to be honest, because I talked about this one and I mentioned the downside scenario here, and look at this beauty. I mean, we fell below this upside line and we moved lower, and yeah, we fell below the 143 territory. So great. We ended up coming very close to the 142 zone, so that's good. I like when pairs are moving in this form, like, you know, 142, 143, 144, 100, 145. So yeah, that kind of makes my life a little bit easier. But yeah, at the moment, what I'm going to do here, I would say this way: as long as we stay below the 143 territory, I am leaning towards the downside, and especially if we fall below the 142 zone, my next target is the 141 zone, which is not far actually from this hurdle here, the high of the 30th of May, and it's not far from my 50-day EMA. Perfect. Everything is just picture perfect. So yep, for now I am just leaning for that one. USD. Oh, by the way, in terms of the upside, yeah, break of this downside line is needed. That's what I'm going to do. Some of you might say, hey, but what about this upside line? Okay, you can, but I think that at this point, I think it's no longer needed. And look, I rather stay safe than sorry, and be safe than sorry, than so I'll rather wait for a breakout here, and then I'm, you know, to go a little bit higher. USDCHF, looking at the picture here, yes, beautiful break of my lower side, and so far it seems like we are trading below the lower side of that range. So as long as we stay below it, I'm going to aim for this 0.8820 territory. I spoke about that last week, and I'm gonna stick to my game plan, and yes, I'm not going to invent anything here, anything else. If we do push back above this, then okay, maybe we're going to be back into the range, but I think that the upside scenarios would be better to watch out for from the 0.90 zone. USDCAD, beautiful hold up here near this upside line. Again, initially I was talking about this as a steep tentative short-term upside line drawn from the low of the 27th of June, and yeah, so far it's doing a good job. However, I would like to see a push back above the 50-day EMA in order to consider some moves to the upside. For the downside, I will keep an eye on my hurdle here, this 1.3270, which I previously talked about as a barrier to the upside, and look at this, we're near that one again, and it's providing good support this time. So yeah, if we do fall below this, I will go lower up, and there we go. GBPJPY, looking at the picture here. By the way, in terms of the British news, British data, the GDP numbers I think are coming out. Average unemployment rate is coming out on Tuesday, tomorrow. Yeah, so keep your eyes on that. If you're a GBP trader, watch out for the unemployment numbers together with the average hourly average earnings, excluding and including bonuses. That's going to be quite interesting to see. Yeah, and then I think, as I mentioned already as well, the the financial BOE financial stability report is coming out on Wednesday. And I think on Thursday, that's when, that's when the GDP numbers are coming out, and together with the manufacturing production and industrial production numbers. So Thursday also could be quite an interesting one to trade for the GBP traders. Today it might be, like I said, on the cautious side, and we might just see this one trading inside this range still, but maybe tomorrow, yep, we could see that employment data driving this one out of here. At the moment, I'm kind of cautiously leaning towards the downside, but to be honest, hey, this could change very quickly. And at the moment, yes, we're seeing the yen buying, but will that continue? That's a good question, because if the stock market suddenly reverses back up a little bit, then maybe we could see, JPY pushing back up as well, especially also if British numbers come out on the good side. So But yeah, if we do fall below this 182.13 territory, I'm leaning towards a larger correction here to the downside. GBPUSD, this one's also quite interesting. Beautiful, beautiful hold up. Look at this. This hurdle is just amazing. It's doing a good job, providing good resistance. This 1.2848 zone. And look, if we do break this, then yes, that's where from where I'm gonna get more excited with the upside. A forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. Then yes, more buyers could join in. In terms of the downside, look, in general, the idea that I've dragged this arrow, from here, because last week's idea worked out, because I was saying to you that if we do clear this 1.2727 territory, I'll aim for the 1.2760, and if that gets cleared, I'll go further north towards this 1.2848. Boom. Mission accomplished. Everything's beautiful, nice and dandy, and there we go. At the moment, yes, like I said, I'm just observing the price action on this one. If we do fall back below the 1.2760, maybe I'll consider a larger correction here to the downside towards this upside line. But if we do clear the 1.2848 zone, this will confirm a forthcoming higher high. EURNOK, so euro against the Norwegian krone. So yeah. I've talked about this previously. I spoke about this 11.47 territory, roughly around here. So far, it's doing a good job, providing good support. We can actually mark it. Let me just do that. Today, I think we got some data. Let me just double check from Norway. Let me just double check. Yeah, CPI numbers came out. So the year-on-year headline, year-on-year, 6.4 against the 6.2, and slower than the previous, but the month-on-month, it's higher than the higher than the forecast, but lower than the previous. But the month-on-month number came out higher than the previous, but lower than the forecast. Well, go figure, honestly. But anyway, we're seeing, yes, a reaction here. It's a positive one, and also look, the positivity here in the Norwegian krone against the euro is coming also from the rising oil price, because again, as I said to you, this is a huge factor in this. Just because, again, Norwegian economy really heavily depends on its oil production. So, that's where all the rich is coming from. So, yeah. And at this point, what I'm going to say is that if we do fall below the 11.47 territory right here, I will go lower. I will, because maybe this is a nice descending triangle pattern here. So if that's the case, well, according to all the TA rules, this tends to break to the downside, but again, a breakout is still required. So at this point, we are playing the waiting game. For the upside, yes, if, as you understood already, a break of this upper side of the triangle here is needed. Jumping into EURJPY, so far so good. Look, I mean, I talked about this. It found good support near this 23.6, so that's great. What's next? Well, I would say this way, that a drop below the 156 territory, or actually maybe not 156 actually per se, but the 155.85, something around that. If we, or in general, I'm sticking to my Fibonacci's here, because so far that's doing an interesting job here, because so far I can see that the 23.6 is providing fantastic support, and if that gets cleared, then yes, my next target is the 38.2 and maybe the 50%, because the 51 is near my 50 EMA. That's a beautiful move here. Let's see which way this is going to play out to. In terms of the upside, I'm taking a very conservative approach. A push above the 158 territory would be needed. And finally, EURUSD, beautiful pop here. And look, this is one of those moments where I keep on saying that nowadays it seems that the descending triangle pattern is no longer a bearish pattern, and this is a good example of that. Honestly, it's like it broke to the upside. It's not even a bullish flag, so that's where the problem is. I would say yes, if this would be a nice one pole here, but this would be that pennant. but it's not. It's a descending triangle which broke out to the upside, and that's the reason why I say always wait for the confirmation break, guys. Here we had a few teases. That happens all the time, so you need to kind of adjust to that as well. But yeah, we broke my 1.0892 territory. I spoke about that level, and look at this. We've reached my target. It's never the exact level. It's always the area near that level. So reached my target. What's next? Now I'm gonna draw something like this, where maybe, just maybe, we could see maybe a bit of a retracement here, maybe a test of this 1.0933 territory. If it holds, a nice good push back up here could be possible. So that's the, like I said, that's the game plan. If we do want to consider lower levels on this one, I think that maybe it's best to wait for a drop below the 1.0892 territory right here, and then consider maybe a move to the downside, because maybe at the same time we would fall below the 50-day EMA, and yes, potentially maybe more sellers could join in here. Another thing that I'm watching here now is I think that it's time to readjust this trend line, and yes, I'm watching this now. So if we do break this upside line, then yes, potentially more sellers could join in, and maybe it could align itself with this hurdle as well. So that's the game plan, guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, guys, your views, your rockets, everything. Honestly, your comments, I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. I hope you found it useful. And yeah, if you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, 6 o'clock GMT time. But for now, have a beautiful trading day. Stay safe. Have your stop losses in place. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. So just these simple rules, that you have to stick to, and all will be good, guys. And don't be greedy, as always. Yes. So thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If you want to continue to please the trading gods, subscribe to our channel for a blessing.